Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode. Today we're looking at part 2 of my Douglas Murray vs Mehdi Hasan series. If you haven't seen part 1 already, I would highly recommend that you watch that first. Today we're looking into the second segment of the debate, and before we start I just want to play a little something that Mehdi Hasan said, which I think is very important. He is highlighting the importance of fact-checking and delivering his answers backed by evidence. This is key because I just want you to see how the audience responds.
I'll be as brief as everyone else. The propositions that I've sprayed around the word lie and liar, so let's return the compliment. Natasha lied when she talked about UNRWA and terrorism. The UN set up an independent inquiry, asked the Israelis for evidence. I know you don't want to hear this. They asked the Israelis, she's parroting propaganda for the Israeli government. The Israeli government was asked to give evidence. They refused to give their evidence. Every Western government, including your own, Canada's, has restarted funding because they looked at the evidence and didn't see it. That's great. I get it. But as Douglas might have once said, facts don't care about your feelings. To come back to the other point of lie, Douglas says the war would end if Hamas gave back the hostages. Complete lie. The Israelis have said, even if the hostages come back, we carry on the war. In fact, I interviewed Avraham Munter's nephew. Avraham Munter is a 79-year-old Israeli hostage right now. Poor guy, tragic. 79-year-old in captivity, should be freed, of course, had to have his birthday in captivity. His nephew says that every time he goes on the streets, Ben Gvir's police beat him. They beat him and arrest him. They're arresting hostage members' families, hostages' family members. And they're coming on TV and saying, why are we being used as props by people who support the war? He doesn't support the war, he wants a deal. Israeli family members are going on the streets and being tear-gassed and water cannon, whatever, beaten by the police because they want a deal and they want an end to the war that Douglas and Zasha so proudly support. They keep telling us about the horrors of October the 7th. I agree. This side shares the revulsion against the horrors of October the 7th, but we also share revulsion against the horrors that came since October the 7th. We don't support those horrors. I'm opposed to the war crimes that happened on October the 7th and the war crimes that have happened since October the 7th. Douglas, no, I've got to finish this point. Douglas, the week after October the 7th, came out in The Spectator and advocated for the ethnic cleansing of Gaza, which is a crime against humanity under the Rome Statute. He said,
facts don't care about your feelings. Ooh, go on Mehdi. This debunks any argument people may have about the hostages. He also highlights the double standards and makes a very important point that he, as well as many other guests, agree the problems surrounding October the 7th, but also the horrors that followed. However, the other side failed to see this. Let's move on to the second segment, and just to be fair, I'll start again with Douglas Murray.
Campuses and what's happening on college campuses here in North America, Douglas, say about this debate right now?
Well, it says that a young generation has been lied to in significant numbers and with a sense of ferocity and extremism, which we should all abhor. It's possible that these college campus kids didn't get the memo from the other side in their desperate attempt not only to reframe anti-Zionism but also anti-Semitism. It's very strange to me, isn't it, that if anti-Zionism isn't anti-Semitic, why do all these kids who've never protested about anything else before in the world stage suddenly turn up at Columbia and chase Jewish students with "Go back to Poland" or Ukraine? Why is it Jewish students at universities here in Toronto and Montreal who get chased by mobs and shouted down by mobs screaming anti-Semitic slurs? They're not even bothering to cover over it. I mean, they very rarely anymore remember to say, oh, I meant Zionist. They're revealing themselves all the time, and it's because, first of all, they've been lied to. Secondly, there are a very large number of them who are, I would say that they fall into two categories, the sinister and the silly. The sinister are the ones who know exactly which river they're chanting about and exactly which sea. And they want the eradication of the world's only Jewish state. And they think they're the good guys. The silly, they're the ones who, like there was a guy at Columbia who started this academic year calling for climate emergency, and then Hamas attacked Israel and suddenly he was for Hamas. He has a sort of belly button piercing, and I think he's queers for Palestine, or as I say, chickens for KFC. And these students are, I'll put it straight, they are desperate for a cause. They're desperate for meaning in their lives. They have searched and scoured the land looking for meaning and purpose, and instead of learning something good to do with their lives, they've decided they will do this incredibly simplistic thing. Everything in the world is oppressor, oppressed, occupier, occupied, colonizer, colonized. And this incredibly simplistic idea that works nowhere, they then implant or try to implant over the world's most complex region. And they think in doing so that they're being good guys. And what they don't realize is that if they got what they wanted, they'd have finished the work of Adolf Hitler.
The only thing I would say to that is, was there any facts? Any evidence? Any reference of any sort? None. That to me was just personal opinion. Now let's see how Mehdi Hasan responds.
Something you thought a lot about too.
Douglas earlier was telling us all about the importance of journalism going on the ground. While Douglas was getting awards from the President of Israel, we were actually reporting, my news organization Zateo, from those campuses with Jewish students. In fact, the most read piece on our site is from a student called Jonathan Ben Menachem, who is at Columbia and reported from inside the encampment where they were having a Seder, where he was protesting war crimes in Gaza, which I know the other side thinks there are no war crimes, everything we just imagined the last 8 months. What you have to tackle tonight, I'm glad we brought up college campuses, because again, if this ridiculous sweeping motion, Douglas says complexity, we are the side of complexity, we're not the ones saying anti-Zionism across the board is anti-Semitism, you have to deal with the fact that college protests are disproportionate. There are a disproportionate number of Jews in these protests. They're all brainwashed, they're all idiots, they're all self-haters. Some of the top academics at Columbia University who are Jewish have come out to defend the protests. Analyse is a 65-year-old former chair of Jewish studies at Dartmouth. She was beaten on camera by police while she was protesting against the war in Gaza. Apparently Douglas, an atheist, says that she's an anti-Semite. That's the debate, that's what we've got to tonight. Where the former chair of Jewish studies at Dartmouth is an anti-Semite, while Douglas is the champion of the Jewish people. I find it bizarre, and I'm glad we've brought up college protests, because it's the number one evidence right now in our discourse that actually a lot of young Jewish people, and by the way, this whole argument, why didn't you protest Sudan, why didn't you protest Syria? Last time I checked, the United States Congress does not fund Bashar al-Assad or the RSF militias in Sudan. So stop with this lazy whataboutism that gives you
fund your friends in Tehran.
The US Congress funds Tehran.
You know very well Biden's package for Tehran.
What?
You don't know about it?
US funds Iran. Okay, you got me there, Douglas.
Wow.
By the way, since we're doing
since Biden decided to bring Iran back into JCPOA, they are no longer under the sanctions that they were, and have been brought back into the fold. Ergo, they end up with international funding.
America is funding Iran like it funds Israel. This is absurd. By the way, just on fact checks, Natasha gave us a lecture about she's the lawyer on stage. That's true, you are the lawyer on stage. But literally, the chief prosecutor at the International Criminal Court has asked for arrest warrants. And you're booing again. I know you don't like it, but by the way, the advisor to the ICC chief prosecutor is a man named Theodore Meron, 94 years old, Holocaust survivor, former advisor to the Israeli foreign minister. He advised the ICC to ask for arrest warrants. But according to Douglas and Natasha tonight, and many of you, he's an anti-Semite too. Theodore Meron's an anti-Semite. Let's just keep the list going tonight till we vote tonight as to how many Jews we're going to call an anti-Semite.
Again, fantastic points raised by Mehdi Hasan, backed by credible evidence. I don't see how Douglas Murray even stood a chance. The audience was biased from the start, and you can see this from the first clip I played. Part 3 of the debate will be out in the next few days, followed by a full video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.